Recent studies conducted across Africa in 2024 and 2025 have overturned long-held beliefs in three key areas of scientific understanding. New dating techniques applied to Homo naledi fossils have produced timeline results that contradict established theories about human evolution. Updated casualty statistics from Egypt's Blue Hole revealed death tolls that exceed all previous records, forcing researchers to reconsider the true dangers of this underwater formation. Meanwhile, botanists working in Tanzania's remote forests have documented new tree species that challenge our understanding of plant evolution and biodiversity patterns. These discoveries represent just the beginning of a series of findings that are forcing scientists to question fundamental assumptions about our planet's history. The implications of what researchers have uncovered are reshaping multiple scientific disciplines and revealing how much we still don't know about the world around us. Revolutionary dating technology exposes Homo naledi timeline crisis. The first major breakthrough came from South African laboratories where research teams working with fossils from the Rising Star cave system applied advanced dating techniques to specimens that had puzzled scientists for years. In March 2025, Live Science reported that new radiometric dating published in Eli places Homo naledi in South Africa at about 236,000 to 335,000 years ago, showing they coexisted with early Homo sapiens longer than researchers previously thought. This timeline places Homo naledi as direct contemporaries of early Homo sapiens, who were already establishing themselves across Africa during this exact period. The implications destroy the neat linear progression that scientists have taught for generations about human evolution. Multiple human species were walking the same landscapes and potentially interacting with each other for tens of thousands of years. The traditional model suggested that earlier human species disappeared before modern humans emerged, but the updated Homo naledi timeline proves this assumption wrong. These different groups coexisted across vast stretches of time and geography, creating a far more complex picture of human development than previously understood. Evidence recovered from newly excavated chambers shows that Homo naledi possessed cognitive abilities that challenge everything researchers believed about intelligence development. Stone tools found near skeletal remains and evidence of possible intentional body placements suggest complex behaviors, though these burial practices remain heavily debated among researchers. The organized positioning of remains within specific areas of the cave system forces scientists to question which species actually developed advanced behaviors first. Homo naledi displays a unique combination of primitive and advanced features that continues to baffle researchers. Their small brain size, believed to be one-third the size of modern humans, contrasts sharply with hands and feet that suggest greater ability to manipulate objects and navigate complex terrain. This combination indicates they were capable of sophisticated behaviors despite their smaller cranial capacity. Paleoanthropology departments across universities worldwide are scrambling to revise their curriculum as the fundamental timeline of human development requires complete reconstruction. Textbooks that present human evolution as a straightforward progression from primitive to modern species must be rewritten to account for the parallel development of multiple intelligent human groups. The crisis extends beyond academic institutions as museum exhibits and educational materials present evolutionary trees that no longer reflect scientific reality. The discovery forces researchers to abandon the comfortable narrative of steady human advancement and accept a far more complex picture of overlapping species with competing cognitive abilities. This breakthrough represents more than just updated dates on ancient fossils. The radiometric dating results prove that human evolution involved multiple intelligent species existing simultaneously and developing sophisticated behaviors independently. While scientists continue to uncover evidence that reshapes our understanding of human origins, other discoveries across Africa are revealing equally disturbing patterns about the dangers that continue to claim lives in the modern world. Blue Hole death count reaches critical threshold in 2025. Egypt's Blue Hole diving site along the Red Sea coast has emerged as one of the world's most dangerous underwater locations, with casualty statistics that reveal the true scale of this deadly attraction. Best estimates put Blue Hole fatalities between 130 and 200 divers since the 1960s, making it one of the world's deadliest dive sites according to Wikipedia's documentation of the Red Sea formation. The year 2024 proved particularly devastating as rescue teams recovered multiple bodies from the crystal blue waters that descend over 100 meters into complete darkness. The Egyptian government had previously classified much of this casualty data to protect tourism revenue, but mounting international pressure forced authorities to release more complete records. These statistics reveal a disturbing pattern where experienced divers with advanced certifications make fatal mistakes rather than novice adventurers simply getting in over their heads. The rugged conditions and nitrogen narcosis effects of the dangerous 55-meter arch contribute significantly to these deaths. Advanced underwater camera systems installed throughout 2024 captured several incidents that revealed how rapidly diving situations turn deadly at extreme depths. The footage shows experienced divers suddenly becoming disoriented and making erratic movements that indicate severe nitrogen narcosis. Within minutes, these divers lose their ability to make rational decisions and often swim deeper instead of ascending to safety. The cameras recorded multiple instances where divers removed their breathing equipment or attempted to swim through solid rock walls while under the influence of nitrogen poisoning. Medical analysis of recent victims show that the majority of fatalities involved divers with years of deep water experience, who understood the technical aspects of deep diving but underestimated how psychological effects of nitrogen narcosis would impact their judgment at depths exceeding 80 meters. The gas mixture that keeps divers alive at extreme depths also creates euphoric sensations that can override survival instincts and cause fatal decision-making. Despite enhanced safety protocols, the blue hole continues to draw thrill seekers who view the deadly statistics as a challenge rather than a warning. The site attracts extreme sport enthusiasts who specifically seek out dangerous diving locations to test their skills against nature's most unforgiving environments. Many divers travel to Egypt specifically because of the blue hole's reputation as one of the world's most treacherous underwater formations. International diving organizations responded to the updated death toll by officially classifying the blue hole as a restricted extreme sport location, requiring special permits and enhanced safety protocols. The designation places the site in the same category as other deadly natural formations that attract adventurers willing to risk their lives for the ultimate experience. While researchers continue documenting the dangers that modern adventurers face at sites like the Blue Hole, other teams working across Africa have been uncovering evidence from the distant past that challenges everything scientists believed about early human development. Mysterious human ancestor emerges from Ethiopian highlands. The Ethiopian highlands have long been recognized as one of the most important regions for understanding human evolution, but recent excavations in the Afar region have yielded discoveries that continue to reshape our knowledge of early human development. Teams working in this remote area have uncovered fossil evidence that adds new complexity to the human evolutionary timeline, though the full implications of these findings remain under intense scientific scrutiny. The Afar region's unique geological conditions have preserved ancient remains in sediment layers that span millions of years of human ancestry. These fossil sites have produced some of the most significant discoveries in paleoanthropology, including the famous Lucy skeleton discovered in 1974. The continued excavation of these ancient deposits reveals that early human development involved far more complexity than previously understood. Recent analysis of existing fossil collections from Ethiopian sites has revealed previously overlooked anatomical features that suggest early human ancestors possess capabilities that developed earlier than scientists originally believed. Advanced imaging techniques applied to specimens collected over decades of excavation work have uncovered details about hand structure and tool manipulation, abilities that were not visible using older analysis methods. The research teams working in Ethiopia have documented evidence of sophisticated behaviors among early human populations that lived in the region millions of years ago. Stone tool discoveries throughout the Afar region demonstrate that systematic tool creation and use began much earlier than previous estimates suggested. These implements show clear signs of deliberate modification and use for specific purposes, including cutting and scraping activities. Genetic analysis of preserved material from Ethiopian fossil sites continues to reveal the complex relationships between different early human populations. The evidence suggests that various human ancestor groups interacted and potentially interbred across much longer time periods than scientists previously recognized. This genetic mixing created a far more complex family tree than the simple branching patterns traditionally taught in evolutionary biology. The ongoing research in Ethiopia demonstrates that human cognitive development and intelligence evolution follow patterns that challenge established scientific understanding. The evidence from multiple fossil sites across the region indicates that sophisticated behaviors and problem-solving capabilities emerged independently among different human ancestor populations over extended periods of time. These discoveries from Ethiopia's ancient fossil sites represent just one example of how Africa continues to produce evidence that forces scientists to reconsider fundamental assumptions about our planet's history. While paleontologists work to understand the complexities of human evolution, other researchers across the continent are documenting dramatic changes happening in real time that reveal the dynamic nature of Africa's geological landscape. Africa's continental split accelerates beyond all predictions. Geological monitoring stations positioned throughout the East African Rift Valley have recorded tectonic activity that provides scientists with unprecedented insights into one of Earth's most dramatic geological processes. The sophisticated seismic equipment installed across Kenya, Ethiopia, and Tanzania captures data that reveals how the African continent is slowly splitting apart along this massive fault system. The East African Rift is spreading at about 0.6 to 1 centimeter per year, driven by the Somali and Nubian plates moving apart in opposite directions. Advanced GPS monitoring systems track these minute movements with remarkable precision, allowing researchers to measure continental drift occurring in real time rather than inferring changes from ancient geological evidence. The measurements show that parts of East Africa are gradually separating from the main continent at rates that represent some of the fastest continental drift processes currently active on our planet. This ongoing separation could eventually form a new sea that divides the African continent into two separate landmasses. Satellite imagery captured throughout recent years shows the Rift Valley's distinctive geological features extending across vast stretches of eastern Africa. The system includes active volcanic regions, deep valleys, and fault lines that create a visible scar across the landscape from space. These geological formations indicate that massive forces deep within the Earth continue to reshape the continental surface through volcanic activity and tectonic movement. The rift system displays clear evidence of ongoing volcanic activity that drives the continental separation process. Geological surveys have identified numerous volcanic vents and geothermal features throughout the region that demonstrate how molten rock from deep within the Earth pushes upward and creates pressure along the fault lines. This volcanic activity produces the energy that gradually forces the continental plates apart over geological timescales. Scientists predict that the current spreading rate could create a navigable waterway separating East Africa from the main continent within millions of years. This timeline represents a relatively brief period in geological terms, though the process remains imperceptible to human observation without sophisticated measuring equipment. The eventual formation of a new ocean basin would fundamentally alter the geography of the African continent. Local communities living along the Rift Valley observe geothermal features, including hot springs and volcanic activity that provide visible evidence of the geological forces operating beneath the surface. These thermal phenomena indicate that major changes continue occurring deep within the Earth's crust throughout the entire rift system. The ongoing geological transformation creates unique mineral formations and affects local water sources as underground systems shift and realign. The East African Rift represents one of the most active continental drift processes that scientists can study using modern monitoring technology. While researchers continue documenting these gradual geological changes, other teams working across Africa have been uncovering evidence from the distant past that reveals the continent's history as home to some of the most formidable creatures that ever walked the earth. Colossal predator unearthed in Morocco's ancient riverbeds. Morocco's ancient fossil beds have produced some of the most significant paleontological discoveries in recent decades, revealing details about prehistoric ecosystems that once dominated North Africa. The Kem beds, stretching across southeastern Morocco, contain sediment layers that preserve fossils from the Cretaceous period, when this region supported vast river systems teeming with massive predators and their prey. Recent excavations in these fossil-rich formations have uncovered evidence of enormous carnivorous dinosaurs that ruled ancient African landscapes millions of years ago. The preserved remains found throughout the Kem beds demonstrate that North Africa supported some of the largest predatory animals that ever existed on land. These discoveries continue to reshape scientific understanding of how prehistoric ecosystems functioned and what environmental conditions allowed such massive creatures to thrive. The exceptional preservation quality found in Moroccan fossil sites allows researchers to observe anatomical details that provide insights into the behavior and capabilities of these ancient predators. Fossilized teeth, bones, and other remains reveal information about hunting strategies, feeding patterns, and the complex relationships between different species that shared these prehistoric environments. Advanced analysis techniques applied to specimens from the Chem beds have revealed that these ancient ecosystems supported incredible biodiversity. Multiple species of large carnivores coexisted alongside massive herbivorous dinosaurs, prehistoric crocodiles, and various other creatures that created complex food webs. The fossil evidence shows that competition for resources drove evolutionary adaptations that produced some of the most formidable predators in Earth's history. The sediment layers in Morocco's fossil beds also preserve evidence of the environmental conditions that existed during the Cretaceous period. Analysis of ancient pollen, plant material, and geological formations indicates that this region experienced tropical climates with extensive river systems and lush vegetation that supported diverse animal communities. Research teams working in Morocco continue to uncover new species and gather evidence about prehistoric life that challenges previous assumptions about ancient African ecosystems. The ongoing discoveries demonstrate that Africa's geological history includes periods when the continent supported dramatically different environments and wildlife populations than exist today. These fossil discoveries from Morocco's ancient riverbeds represent just one example of how Africa continues to reveal secrets about our planet's distant past. While paleontologists work to understand these prehistoric ecosystems, other researchers across the continent are documenting extreme environments that exist in the present day, where unique chemical conditions create some of the most hostile yet fascinating natural laboratories on Earth. Lake Natron's deadly chemistry reaches critical toxicity levels. Tanzania's Lake Natron stands as one of these extreme natural laboratories where chemical conditions have reached levels that challenge the very limits of what scientists consider habitable on our planet. Environmental monitoring equipment positioned around this remarkable body of water captured readings in 2025 that established Lake Natron as the most chemically extreme natural environment ever documented on Earth. The sophisticated pH measurement devices recorded alkaline levels of 12.3, which surpasses the caustic strength of household bleach and approaches the chemical intensity of industrial drain cleaners. These measurements represent the highest natural alkalinity levels ever recorded in any water body worldwide and indicate that the lake's chemistry has reached concentrations that can dissolve organic matter within just minutes of contact. The extreme alkaline conditions result from unique volcanic minerals that continuously feed into the lake, creating what scientists describe as a natural sodium carbonate factory. Volcanic activity in the surrounding region deposits massive quantities of sodium carbonate and other alkaline minerals directly into the water through underground springs and surface runoff. The lake has no outlet, so these minerals accumulate year after year, reaching concentrations that would be lethal to most life forms on the planet. Surface temperature measurements taken throughout 2025 show that Lake Natron now reaches 140 degrees Fahrenheit during peak afternoon hours. This scalding temperature, combined with the extreme alkalinity, creates conditions that would cause immediate severe burns to any human or animal that contacts the water. Despite these deadly conditions, researchers made remarkable discoveries in 2024 when they found thriving colonies of extremophile bacteria that have adapted to survive in this chemical inferno. These microscopic organisms have developed cellular mechanisms that allow them to process the toxic minerals and use them as energy sources. Scientists believe these bacteria may provide crucial insights into how life first emerged on Earth, billions of years ago when our planet's surface conditions were similarly extreme and hostile. Flamingo populations that visit Lake Natron have evolved extraordinary survival adaptations that allow them to feed in waters that would kill most other animals. These birds possess specialized salt glands that filter toxic minerals from their bloodstream and excrete the dangerous chemicals through their nasal passages. The flamingos can wade through the caustic water and consume the algae and small organisms that somehow survive in the lake's extreme environment. Chemical analysis conducted by research teams reveals that Lake Natron contains mineral concentrations so high they could preserve organic matter for millions of years without decay. The alkaline chemistry creates natural mummification processes that instantly preserve any animal unfortunate enough to fall into the water. Scientists have recovered perfectly preserved bird carcasses that show no signs of decomposition despite being submerged for extended periods. While Lake Natron represents one extreme example of how unique geological conditions create extraordinary environments on Earth's surface, other researchers working across Africa have been discovering that equally remarkable formations exist hidden beneath the ground in locations where few scientists ever expected to find them. Madagascar's hidden underground world spans hundreds of miles. Madagascar's remote Ankarana Plateau became the site of extraordinary underground discoveries throughout 2024 when speleologists mapped a cave system so enormous that it could easily accommodate entire metropolitan areas within its underground chambers and connecting tunnels. This subterranean network extends over 200 miles through solid limestone bedrock, making it one of the most extensive cave systems ever documented anywhere on the planet. The newly mapped caverns contain ecosystems that have remained completely isolated from the surface world for millions of years. These underground environments developed independently from external influences, creating biological conditions that exist nowhere else on Earth. The isolation allowed unique evolutionary processes to occur in complete darkness, producing life forms that adapted to survive without any sunlight or connection to surface ecosystems. Research teams exploring these hidden chambers discovered over 30 previously unknown species that have never been observed by scientists before. The discoveries include multiple species of blind fish that navigate through underground rivers using highly developed sensory systems instead of vision. Albino spiders with specialized hunting techniques evolved to catch prey in complete darkness, while adapted reptiles developed unique metabolic processes that allow them to survive on minimal food sources available in the underground environment. The cave system contains underground rivers that flow continuously for dozens of miles without ever reaching the surface or connecting to any known water source above ground. These hidden waterways carve through limestone formations, creating vast chambers and intricate tunnel networks. The rivers maintain consistent flow rates throughout the year, indicating they connect to deep underground aquifers that remain unaffected by seasonal weather patterns on the surface. Mineral formations discovered within the caves display crystal growth patterns that defy conventional geological understanding. The unique chemical conditions created by underground water sources and limestone interactions produce crystalline structures that grow in geometric patterns that scientists have never observed in other cave systems. These formations suggest that the cave environment creates chemical conditions that allow minerals to crystallize in ways that are impossible under normal surface conditions. Archaeological evidence recovered from multiple chamber locations indicates that ancient Malagasy people used these caves as sacred burial sites and ceremonial chambers. Stone artifacts and human remains show that these underground spaces held significant cultural importance for generations of local populations who developed sophisticated methods for accessing the deep cave systems despite the challenging terrain and complete darkness. Advanced sonar mapping technology revealed that some individual chambers within the cave system are large enough to contain entire football stadiums with room to spare. These massive underground spaces formed over millions of years as water slowly dissolved limestone bedrock, creating caverns of unprecedented size and complexity. This discovery opens entirely new possibilities for understanding Madagascar's geological formation processes and the evolutionary history of species that developed in complete isolation from the rest of the world. While researchers continue exploring these hidden underground networks, other teams working across Africa have been documenting dramatic environmental changes occurring above ground that reveal the dynamic Sahara desert expansion accelerates to catastrophic rates. The most dramatic environmental transformation currently reshaping Africa involves the Sahara Desert's relentless expansion across the continent's northern regions. Satellite monitoring systems positioned across North Africa captured data throughout 2024 that reveals the desert is advancing southward at unprecedented rates that exceed all previous measurements. The sophisticated imaging technology used to track these changes shows clear evidence of sand dunes advancing across previously fertile landscapes at speeds visible from space. Recent measurements indicate the Sahara is expanding at rates significantly faster than historical averages, with some regions experiencing particularly rapid advancement. This acceleration represents a substantial increase compared to measurements taken just 5 years ago when desert growth occurred at more predictable rates. The comparison between recent data and historical records shows that expansion patterns have intensified dramatically across multiple monitoring zones. Climate monitoring stations across the Sahel region recorded precipitation patterns and temperature data that explain the unprecedented desert growth. Rising temperatures create conditions that increase evaporation rates while simultaneously reducing rainfall amounts across areas that border the desert. These changing weather patterns remove the moisture that vegetation needs to survive and create conditions that favor desert expansion over agricultural productivity. The advancing desert is consuming fertile farmland across the Sahel region at an alarming pace, destroying agricultural communities that have existed for generations. Millions of people face displacement as their traditional farming areas become uninhabitable desert terrain. The expansion eliminates grazing lands for livestock and destroys crop production areas that local populations depend on for survival and economic stability. Advanced computer modeling systems that analyze current expansion trends predict that the Sahara could grow by an area equivalent to the size of France within the next decade. This projection assumes that current expansion rates continue without significant intervention or climate pattern changes. The modeling indicates that major population centers across West Africa could face direct impacts from desert expansion within the next 20 years. The rapid desert growth generates massive dust storms that travel thousands of miles across the Atlantic Ocean, affecting weather patterns in the Americas. These dust clouds carry millions of tons of sand particles that influence precipitation patterns and atmospheric conditions far from their African origins. The increased frequency and intensity of these dust storms indicate that Sahara expansion is creating global climate effects. Local ecosystems collapse as water sources disappear and vegetation dies at the desert's advancing edge.